Last time I got a batch of comics, there were 2 free extras included, and by chance they were 2 comics I hated, and it felt like I was being punished. This is Fantastic Force, the Dark Regime miniseries, which is the first Fantastic Four story written by Jonathan Huckleberry. I have never reviewed a Jonathan Huckleberry comic before because I can't stand the prick. He is basically just an unoriginal, uninventive poser who insists that he is original and he is inventive. After this cover by the equally overrated Simon Bianca, I was at least pleasantly surprised to see interior artwork by one of the Sam Changs. That viewer I mentioned in the recent Spider-Man review, he is going to love this one because every page is jam-packed with text. It is such a great use of page space in this. These 2 pages are absolutely essential. This building isn't even the Fantastic Force's headquarters. It is just a random building on the same street. None of this matters to the story. The monologuing going on this page could easily be shifted over to the first page, where it is mostly panels of Mr. Fantasticals and silence. The caption boxes are Mr. Fantasticals' inner monologue. They would make more sense here than on 2 pages of irrelevant cityscape. But it is a Jonathan Huckleberry comic, so it is deep. We are straight in with the bullshit I hate. The stupid fucking stillborn daughter that should have stayed stillborn. She is hogging page time with her intense intelligence. You see, she is smarter than Franklin Fantasticals. She is even smarter than her dad. And nearly every page of this I am looking at and thinking, let's end it here and tear it up. This is the progenitor of Jonathan Huckleberry's desperate graphics work. Those abysmal minimalist inserts he jams into his comics that I think only he and his editors think are complimentary. At least it is just a recap page here. We're not at the point where it is a double page spread of mostly white backgrounds with Fantastic Force written very tiny in the centre. So here is the 411. Can I take a break just to say I loved saying that there? I think despite his long run on Fantastic Force, Jonathan Huckleberry never really had a handle on any of the 4 main characters, and nor did he have any real interest in them. Which, come to think of it, describes every Marvel book that he has written. He did have he had a direction for Mr. Fantasticals. It was bad, and it was responsible for so much of the bad takes on the character. But Jonathan Huckleberry never had any love for these characters. Mr. Fantasticals was a mouthpiece, or a set of eyes, to experience Jonathan Huckleberry's grand stories. He did naff all with Invisible Wife or Thing. The main thing he did with Fume on Fire was kill 'em off. He did plenty with the kids, all bad. He did plenty with Mr. Doom, all bad. But the only characteristic he gave to any of the title team was making Mr. Fantasticals be obsessed with knowledge and getting answers, to the point where he neglects his friends and family, to the point where he belittles everyone else, and to the point where he is basically unlikable. Jonathan Huckleberry can dress it up with a panel at the end with Mr. Fantasticals tucking his son into bed, but that doesn't magically undo that is Mr. Fantasticals is less of a character and more of a plot mechanic to have someone discover or witness all of Jonathan Huckleberry's lame duck ideas about secret societies and hidden councils. It is piss weak, and I have mainly been talking about the whole run, but this issue is enough to turn anyone off, to be honest. We're nearly at the end of the issue and nothing has happened. We have had setup. We have had Indulgent setup. And despite the miniseries tying into Dark Regime, there is very, very little actual tie-in. Norman Osborn is mentioned. He is supposedly behind this, but this is a story that Jonathan Huckleberry would have told regardless of the crossover it's supposedly part of. His one concession is swapping out a generic government bad guy with Norman Osborn. I am just making sure to get through it all here so you can see for yourself that it's not much of a comic. It is a bunch of setup scenes stapled together. Scenes that only focus on what Jonathan Huckleberry is interested in. The action is... oh God. The action is stillborn. That is the perfect way to describe it. People crashed through a window on the page before. There is explosions on this page. But there isn't any actual action. There's no follow-through on the action it sets up. Jonathan Huckleberry and his fans probably think that his work is too brainy and too cerebral to have action. But they are just making excuses for a man who is not really a comic book writer, who writes comic books and wants you to think that he is smarter than the average bear. What's this? Our third or fourth double splash? And then we have a splash page to end on of Mr. Fantasticals. End. Chapter 1. Fuck this. Utter dross. Jonathan Huckleberry is dreadful. I would like to enter into a discussion with a fan of his who praises his writing of characters, or even just his writing of comics beyond statements like, "This is an epic idea." There is no connection to an audience here. There is no charm. There is no characters. Just the veneer of a writer trying to cover for his deficiencies as a writer by insisting, "If you like this, it means you are intelligent." Seven thumbs up.